All right, so you've got a big data analyst interview coming up,
Oh, yeah.
and we are diving deep into these RoleCatcher guides
Oh, okay.
to help you knock it out of the park.
Sounds good.
We've got their career guides,
Mm-hmm.
interview guides, and even some info on how their AI can help tailor your answers.
It's amazing how much prep work goes into these interviews these days.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But that's where these guides come in handy.
Right.
They've got 9 common data analyst interview questions,
Okay.
and we're going to break down each one,
Great.
give you some insider tips,
Okay.
and even throw in some potential follow-up questions you might get.
All right, let's do it.
So the first question focuses on data visualization.
Okay.
You know, those tools that help you make sense of all those numbers and turn them into something people can actually understand?
Right.
The question you'll likely hear is, can you explain your experience with data visualization tools, such as Tableau or Power BI?
Ah, yes. The interviewer wants to know if you can actually show them what the data means, not just tell them.
This is your chance to highlight those times you've turned data into a compelling story.
Yeah.
Think about specific projects where you use Tableau or Power BI to create dashboards,
Uh-huh.
track key performance indicators, or uncover hidden trends.
And don't just list the tools you've used.
Right.
Walk them through a specific example.
Okay.
Explain the challenge you faced, the steps you took, and the results you achieved.
Yeah.
Think storytelling with data.
I love that.
Yeah.
And be prepared for a follow-up question like, can you walk me through a particularly challenging visualization project you worked on?
Right.
They want to see how you handle those tricky situations.
Yeah.
You know, those times when the data was messy or the stakeholders had conflicting needs.
Right. It's all about showcasing your problem-solving skills,
Okay.
your ability to think creatively, and your communication chops.
Okay.
Can you present complex information in a way that's easy to understand?
Yeah.
And even a little bit exciting.
Speaking of exciting, let's move on to question number 2,
All right.
which focuses on data accuracy.
Okay.
This one is all about making sure your data is clean, reliable, and ready to be analyzed.
Right.
The interviewer might ask, how do you ensure the accuracy and integrity of data in your analyses?
This is where you show them you're not just a number cruncher,
Right.
but a data detective.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
It's about being proactive and having a systematic approach to data quality.
All right.
Mention specific techniques like data validation and cleaning, using automated validation scripts,
Clear.
or running SQL queries to check for consistency.
So you're saying it's not enough to just say you're careful with data.
Right.
You have to prove it.
Exactly. Show them you have the tools and techniques to tackle data quality issues head on.
Yeah.
And be ready for a follow-up. Like, have you ever encountered a situation where data quality was compromised? How did you handle it? This is where a real-world example of a data quality issue you identified and solved can really make you shine.
Oof. I've got a good one for my last job.
Yeah.
But let's move on to question 3.
Okay.
This one tackles a challenge every data analyst faces, missing data.
Yeah.
The interviewer might ask. How do you handle missing or incomplete data?
Ah, yes. The data gremlins strike again.
All right.
This is where your understanding of data imputation comes in handy.
Okay.
Explain the different approaches, starting with simple ones like mean or median imputation for basic cases.
So if you're missing values for, say, a customer's age, you can just fill in the average age.
Right.
Seems simple enough.
Right. But for more complex situations, you might need to use more advanced methods like regression imputation.
Yeah.
The key is to show that you understand the implications of missing data and that you have a plan to address it, not just ignore it.
And that you're not just throwing darts at a board hoping for the best. You're using a strategic and informed approach.
Precisely. And don't be surprised if they throw in a curveball.
Okay.
Like, what are the implications of handling missing data in sensitive areas? They want to see if you've thought about the ethical aspects as well as the technical ones.
Okay. Now for question 4.
Right.
This one focuses on something we all struggle with. Prioritization.
Yeah.
Imagine the interviewer saying, how do you prioritize competing requests for data analysis?
You've got multiple stakeholders, deadlines looming, and limited resources.
Yeah.
This question is all about showcasing those organizational and project management skills.
So it's like juggling flaming torches while riding a unicycle.
Exactly. You might mention frameworks like the Eisenhower matrix, which helps you categorize tasks by urgency and importance.
Right.
Explain how you determine which projects take priority.
Okay.
And how you communicate with stakeholders to set clear expectations.
And maybe sprinkle in some examples of how you've successfully managed multiple projects in the past, right?
Absolutely. And be prepared for that follow-up question.
Okay.
Like, can you give me an example of a time when you had to reprioritize your work due to unforeseen circumstances?
Yeah.
This is where you demonstrate your adaptability and flexibility.
Right. Yeah.
You know, stuff happens.
Yep.
And they want to know you can handle it.
Now, question 5 dives into something near and dear to my heart: continuous learning.
Oh, yeah.
The interviewer might ask, how do you stay up to date with the latest data analysis techniques and tools? They want to know you're not just going to rest on your laurels, right?
Exactly. This is your chance to show your passion for the field and your commitment to professional development.
Yeah.
Talk about specific resources you use, like online courses, conferences, blogs, maybe even following thought leaders in the data science community.
And don't forget to mention any recent advancements in data analysis that you've been exploring, like cloud-based analytics platforms, or those newfangled machine learning algorithms everyone's talking about.
Right. Show that you're not just keeping up, but you're actively seeking out new knowledge.
Yeah.
And be ready for that follow-up question.
Right.
What emerging trends in data analysis are you most excited about and why? This is where you can really geek out and let your enthusiasm shine through.
And speaking of geeking out, let's talk about RoleCatcher for a moment.
Oh, yes. This AI-powered tool that helps you tailor your interview responses for specific job roles.
Yeah.
That's some next-level stuff.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It can analyze your answers and give you personalized feedback. Plus, it has this cool video practice option.
Oh, wow.
Where you can simulate real interview scenarios.
Okay.
It's like having a personal interview coach right in your pocket.
Yeah, that's incredible. So you can practice answering those tricky questions, get feedback on your delivery, and fine-tune your responses until you're feeling confident and ready to nail that interview.
Now let's dive back into those interview questions.
Okay.
Up next is question number 6.
All right.
Can you give an example of a time when you identified a data quality issue and how you resolved it?
They want to hear about a specific situation where you spotted a data discrepancy, investigated the root cause, and implemented a solution.
So it's not just about talking about data quality in general.
Right.
It's about showing them you can walk the walk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe you discovered duplicate records, inconsistent formatting, or outliers that were skewing the data.
Right.
The key is to highlight your proactive approach to ensuring data accuracy.
And how you used your sleuthing skills to uncover the truth hidden within those messy data sets.
Precisely. And be prepared to explain the tools and techniques you used. Did you implement data validation rules? Write cleaning scripts? Or collaborate with other teams to resolve the issue?
Ooh, that last one is important.
Yeah.
Showcasing your collaborative skills is always a plus.
Agreed. Collaboration is crucial in data analysis.
Right.
You're rarely working in a silo.
Okay, moving on to question 7.
Which
focuses on communication.
Okay.
Imagine the interviewer asking, how do you ensure that your analyses are easily understood by non-technical stakeholders?
This is all about those data storytelling abilities.
Yeah.
Data analysis is useless if you can't communicate your findings effectively to those who need to make decisions.
It's like translating a secret code into plain English.
Love those analogies.
Or maybe turning a complex symphony into a catchy pop song.
You're right.
Yeah.
Explain how you tailor your communication style to your audience.
Okay.
Do you use clear and concise language? Avoid technical jargon. Focus on the key takeaways.
And don't forget about visualizations.
Absolutely.
Charts, graphs, and dashboards can make data come alive.
Yeah.
And help people understand the story you're telling.
A good data story should have a clear beginning, middle, and end. It should highlight the problem, the analysis, and the insights that lead to actionable recommendations.
And a dash of drama never hurts, right?
Well, maybe not drama.
Okay.
But definitely a compelling narrative that engages your audience.
Right.
And be ready for a follow-up question.
Okay.
Like, can you describe a time when you had to present complex data analysis to a non-technical audience? How did you approach it? This gives you a chance to showcase your communication skills in action.
All right, on to question 8.
Okay.
Which dives into your analytical thinking. Can you give an example of a time when you used statistical analysis to solve a business problem?
This is where you showcase your practical application of statistical methods.
So it's not just about knowing the formulas and the theories. It's about showing how you can use them to make a real difference.
Exactly. Maybe you used regression analysis to forecast sales.
Okay.
Or a hypothesis test to evaluate the effectiveness of a marketing campaign. Perhaps you used clustering algorithms to segment customers.
Ooh. Those clustering algorithms sound fancy.
Yeah.
Can you give me a quick breakdown?
Sure. Clustering algorithms group data points into clusters based on their similarities.
Okay.
For example, you could use clustering to identify different customer segments based on their purchasing behavior or demographics.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're using data to find those hidden patterns and groups that wouldn't be obvious just by looking at a spreadsheet.
Precisely. And when answering this question, make sure to clearly explain the business problem, the data you used, the statistical techniques you applied, and the results you achieved.
And don't forget to emphasize the impact of your analysis.
Exactly.
Did your insights lead to increased revenue?
Yeah.
Improved efficiency? Better decision-making?
The interviewer wants to see that you can connect your analysis to tangible business outcomes.
Right.
And be ready for a follow-up question.
Okay.
Like, what were the limitations of your analysis and how did you address them?
Yeah.
This shows you're aware of the potential pitfalls of statistical analysis.
Right.
And that you can think critically about your own work.
Okay, now for the last question on our list. Question number 9.
Right.
How do you handle sensitive or confidential data in your analyses?
This one emphasizes your awareness of data privacy and security.
Okay.
Be prepared to discuss the policies and procedures you follow to ensure data is handled responsibly and ethically.
It's not just about getting the insights.
Right.
It's about protecting people's information and maintaining their trust.
Exactly. You might talk about things like data encryption, access controls, and anonymization techniques, as well as compliance with relevant regulations like GDPR.
So you're saying it's a combination of technical safeguards and ethical considerations. You need to have both to handle sensitive data responsibly.
Precisely, and be prepared to explain your thought process.
Okay.
How do you ensure that your analyses respect individual privacy and avoid bias or discrimination?
It's all about using data for good.
Absolutely.
Not for harm.
A good follow-up question here could be, have you ever encountered a situation where you had to balance the need for data analysis with privacy concerns? How did you handle it?
That's a great one.
Yeah.
It really forces you to think about the ethical dilemmas that data analysts can face in the real world.
Right.
Now that we've tackled those 9 common questions, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture.
You mean the data analyst career path?
Exactly.
Okay.
The RoleCatcher Career Guide outlines various career stages from junior data analyst all the way up to lead data analyst. And it's fascinating to see how the responsibilities and expectations evolve as you progress through those stages.
It's like leveling up in a video game.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Yeah.
Each level comes with new challenges and opportunities for growth.
Right.
For instance, a junior data analyst might focus on importing, cleaning, and transforming data. They might also create basic visualizations.
Okay.
And collaborate with senior analysts on projects.
As you move into a mid-level role,
you
might take on more responsibility for developing and implementing data validation processes. You might also start working with more advanced algorithms and IT tools.
Right.
And you'll probably be preparing more comprehensive reports and visualizations.
And at the senior data analyst level,
you could be leading data analysis projects, developing data governance strategies, designing and optimizing data models, and collaborating with stakeholders to drive data-driven decision-making.
Wow. That's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
Sounds like you need a solid understanding of the business as well as the technical skills.
Absolutely. And if you aspire to lead a team of data analysts, you might eventually move into a lead data analyst role.
What does that entail?
Leading a team, defining data strategy, developing data governance frameworks, conducting advanced data analysis, and presenting insights to executive stakeholders.
That's impressive. So it's a journey of continuous learning and growth.
Exactly. And the RoleCatcher Career Guide provides a clear roadmap for those aspirations.
Right.
It highlights the importance of staying up to date with industry trends and emerging technologies, pursuing certifications, and actively engaging in the data science community.
It's like they've got your back every step of the way.
Exactly. And speaking of having your back, let's not forget about RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools.
Yes. Those tools are incredibly valuable for fine-tuning your interview responses and gaining a competitive edge.
The AI feedback feature is like having a personal interview coach. It analyzes your answers, provides personalized suggestions, and helps you craft compelling responses that resonate with interviewers.
And the video practice option
allows you to simulate real interview scenarios, record your responses, and receive AI-driven feedback on your delivery, body language, and overall performance.
It's like having a virtual mirror that helps you see how you come across to others.
Exactly. And one of the most impressive aspects of RoleCatcher's AI is its ability to tailor your responses to specific job roles.
So you're not just practicing generic answers. You're crafting targeted responses that align perfectly with the requirements of the job you're interviewing for.
That level of personalization can significantly increase your chances of making a lasting impression and securing that dream data analyst role.
Now let's get back to those interview questions.
You mean the tougher ones?
Exactly. That really test your problem-solving skills and analytical thinking.
Right. The RoleCatcher guides gave us some great examples.
One question you might encounter is, describe a time when you had to deal with a complex data set. What challenges did you face, and how did you overcome them?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's like they're asking you to tell a data detective story.
Exactly. Think about a project where you had to clean, transform, or analyze a particularly challenging data set. What steps did you take to ensure data accuracy and integrity? Did you have to deal with missing values? Inconsistent formatting, or a variety of data sources? Explain the tools and techniques you used, the challenges you faced, and how you ultimately arrived at a solution.
It's all about showcasing your ability to think critically, break down complex problems, and persevere through challenges.
Like a true data ninja.
Love that. Another question that really puts your analytical thinking to the test is, can you describe a time when you had to make a recommendation based on your data analysis? What were the key factors you considered?
Ooh, this is about taking those data insights and turning them into actionable recommendations that drive business decisions.
Precisely. Choose an example where your analysis led to a tangible outcome. Maybe it was a change in strategy, a new product launch, or an improvement in operational efficiency. Walk the interviewer through your thought process. Highlight the key metrics you analyzed, the assumptions you made, and the potential risks and benefits you weighed.
And don't forget to explain how you communicated your recommendation to stakeholders.
Exactly.
And persuaded them to take action.
Data analysis isn't just about crunching numbers. It's about influencing decisions and driving change.
Now let's shift gears and talk about those behavioral interview questions. You know, the ones designed to assess your soft skills, your personality, and your cultural fit within the organization.
Yes, those questions that try to get a sense of who you are as a person and how you'd fit in with the team.
Exactly. One classic behavioral question you'll likely encounter is, tell me about a time when you had to work as part of a team to achieve a common goal. What was your role? And what challenges did you face?
This question is all about your teamwork and collaboration skills. Choose an example that highlights your ability to contribute effectively to a team, communicate clearly, and resolve conflicts constructively.
Data analysis is rarely a solo endeavor. So these skills are essential.
Did you take on a leadership role? Facilitate discussions or mediate disagreements?
Explain how you worked with your team members, the challenges you encountered, and the lessons you learned from the experience.
And don't forget to emphasize those positive qualities, like your willingness to listen, your flexibility, and your ability to compromise.
Great point. Those soft skills are just as important as your technical abilities. Okay, another common behavioral question is, describe a time when you had to deal with a difficult stakeholder. How did you approach the situation?
This one assesses your communication, interpersonal and conflict resolution skills.
The data analysts often have to work with stakeholders from different departments.
All right.
So it's crucial to be able to navigate those tricky interactions effectively.
It's like being a diplomat in the world of data.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Think about a time when you had to deal with a stakeholder who was demanding pay.
Resistant to change or had conflicting priorities. How did you build rapport, listen actively, and address their concerns?
Did you compromise, find common ground, or stand your ground when necessary?
Explain your approach, the outcome of the situation, and what you learn from the experience.
Okay, ready for some technical questions.
Bring them on these questions. Assess your knowledge of specific tools, techniques, and concepts commonly used in data analysis.
Let's start with a fundamental one.
Right.
Explain the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning.
Okay.
Can you provide examples of algorithms used in each?
This question tests your understanding of machine learning.
Right.
A critical area for data analysts who work with large data sets.
It's like they're asking you to separate the students who need a teacher.
I like that.
From those who can learn on their own.
Supervised learning involves training a model on labeled data.
Okay.
That means the desired output is known. Examples of supervised learning algorithms include linear regression, logistic regression, and decision trees.
So it's like giving the model a textbook and a teacher to guide it.
Exactly. Unsupervised learning, on the other hand, involves training a model on unlabeled data.
Right.
The desired output is unknown.
So it's more like giving the model a bunch of puzzle pieces and letting it figure out the picture.
Precisely. Examples of unsupervised learning algorithms include k-means clustering, principal component analysis, PCA, and association rule mining.
So be prepared to explain the key differences between these two types of learning.
Right.
And provide examples of how they're used in real-world data analysis scenarios.
Okay. Another technical question you might be asked is, what is SQL and why is it important for data analysts?
Yes. SQL, or structured query language, is the language of data.
Yeah, it's a programming language used to manage and manipulate relational databases.
It's like having a magic wand that can extract exactly the information you need from a sea of data.
Exactly. It's an essential skill for data analysts because it allows them to extract, filter, and aggregate data from databases. Which is often the first step in any data analysis project. Be prepared to explain the basic syntax of SQL. Common commands like select from where and group PY and how you've used SQL in your previous work experience.
You might even be asked to write a simple SQL query on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
So make sure you're comfortable with the basics.
It's like showing off your data wizardry.
I like that.
All right.
Now let's move on to some questions that focus on your understanding of statistical concepts.
All right.
One question you might encounter is, what is the difference between correlation and causation? Can you provide an example?
This question tests your ability to differentiate between two fundamental statistical concepts that are often confused.
It's like figuring out if the rooster's crowing is causing the sun to rise.
I love that.
Or if it's just a coincidence.
Correlation simply means that two variables tend to move together, while causation implies that one variable directly influences the other.
So just because ice cream sales and crime rates both go up in the summer, it doesn't mean that one is causing the other.
Exactly. Both variables might be influenced by a third variable, like warm weather, which could lead to an increase in both ice cream sales and crime rates.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Be prepared to provide your own example of correlation versus causation.
Right.
And explain the importance of understanding the distinction in data analysis.
It's all about being a critical thinker. And not jumping to conclusions based on superficial patterns.
Okay, another statistical question you might be asked is, explain the concept of statistical significance. How is it determined?
This one sounds a bit intimidating.
It does.
But it's not as complex as it sounds.
Okay.
Statistical significance refers to the likelihood that an observed result is not due to chance.
So it's like flipping a coin 10 times and getting heads 10 times in a row.
Exactly.
It's statistically significant because it's highly unlikely to happen just by chance.
We use statistical tests to determine whether an observed effect is likely due to the factor we're interested in, or just random variation.
Okay.
It's typically determined by calculating a p-value, which represents the probability of obtaining the observed result if the null hypothesis, the idea that there's no real effect, is true. If the p-value is below a certain threshold, typically 0.05, the result is considered statistically significant.
So it's like setting a bar for how much evidence you need to be convinced that something is real and not just a fluke.
Precisely, be prepared to explain the concept of a p-value, the significance level, and the implications of statistical significance in data analysis.
Now let's switch gears and talk about data visualization.
Let's do it. Data visualization is one of my favorite topics.
Mine too. It's where art meets data.
Yeah.
One question you might encounter is, what are some best practices for creating effective data visualizations? Can you provide examples?
This question assesses your understanding of how to present data in a clear, concise, and compelling way.
It's about turning those numbers into a visual feast that engages the audience.
Exactly.
And conveys insights effortlessly.
Some best practices for data visualization include choosing the right chart type for your data, using clear and concise labels, avoiding clutter, and highlighting key insights.
You might want to mention specific chart types.
Yeah.
Like bar charts, line charts, scatter plots, and heat maps. Explain when each type is most appropriate.
And don't forget to mention the importance of color choice, font size, and overall.
All right, we're back and ready to dive into part 2 of our Data Analyst interview prep deep dive.
That's right. We covered a ton of ground in the first part.
Yeah.
But we're not done yet.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Remember those RoleCatcher interview guides? Well, they've got some more gems we need to unpack.
Okay.
And this time we're focusing on questions that really put those problem-solving and analytical thinking skills to the test.
Ooh, this is where things get interesting.
Right. Are you ready for a challenge?
Bring it on.
Okay.
Let's start with this one. Describe a time when you had to make a recommendation based on your data analysis.
Right.
What were the key factors you considered?
This question is all about turning those data insights into actionable recommendations.
Okay.
It's about showing you can bridge the gap between analysis and real-world decision-making.
It's like being a data whisperer, guiding stakeholders towards the best course of action.
Exactly. Choose an example where your analysis led to a tangible outcome.
Okay.
Whether it was a change in strategy, a new product launch, or an improvement in operational efficiency.
Yeah.
Walk the interviewer through your thought process.
Okay.
Highlight the key metrics you analyzed, the assumptions you made, and the potential risks and benefits you weighed.
Don't forget to explain how you communicated your recommendation to stakeholders.
Right.
And most importantly, how you persuaded them to take action.
Absolutely. The interviewer wants to see that you can not only analyze data, but also influence decisions and drive change.
But let's talk about those behavioral interview questions.
Okay.
The ones that give interviewers a glimpse into your personality, work style, and how you'd fit into the company culture.
These questions can be tricky because there's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
It's all about showcasing your soft skills.
Okay.
And demonstrating that you'd be a valuable asset to the team.
So authenticity is key.
Yeah.
Just be yourself and let your personality shine through.
Exactly. Be genuine. Be enthusiastic.
Okay.
And be prepared to share your experiences.
Okay. Let's start with a classic. Tell me about a time when you had to work as part of a team to achieve a common goal.
Right.
What was your role and what challenges did you face?
This was all about teamwork and collaboration.
Yeah.
Skills that are crucial in the data world.
Right.
Choose an example that highlights your ability to contribute effectively, communicate clearly, and resolve conflicts constructively. So it's not just about being a team player, it's about being an effective team player.
Exactly. Did you take on a leadership role?
Yeah.
Facilitate discussions? Mediate disagreements?
Explain how you worked with your team members.
Yeah.
The challenges you encountered, and the lessons you learned from the experience.
And don't forget to highlight those positive qualities.
Okay.
Like your willingness to listen.
Right.
Your flexibility and your ability to compromise.
Right. Teamwork is all about working together to achieve a shared goal.
Yeah.
It's about understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses and leveraging those differences to create something amazing.
Okay, ready for another behavioral question?
Yes.
This one focuses on dealing with difficult stakeholders. Describe a time when you had to deal with a difficult stakeholder.
Okay.
How did you approach the situation?
Yes. This one assesses your communication.
Right.
Interpersonal and conflict resolution skills.
It's about showing you can handle those tricky situations with grace and professionalism.
Because, let's face it, not everyone is going to be easy to work with.
That's right. Think about a time when you had to deal with a stakeholder who was demanding, resistant to change, or had conflicting priorities.
How did you build rapport?
Right.
Listen actively and address their concerns.
Did you compromise?
Yeah.
Find common ground? Stand your ground when necessary?
Explain your approach.
Yeah.
The outcome of the situation, and most importantly, what you learned from the experience.
Now let's dive into some technical questions.
Okay.
These are designed to assess your knowledge of data analysis tools, techniques, and concepts.
All right, let's get technical.
Yeah.
Are you ready to show off your data wizardry?
Bring it on. Let's start with a fundamental one. Explain the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning.
Okay.
Can you provide examples of algorithms used in each?
This question tests your understanding of machine learning.
Right, a critical skill for data analysts working with massive data sets.
It's like separating those who learn best with a teacher from those who thrive in a self-directed learning environment.
I love that analogy. Supervised learning involves training a model on labeled data.
Okay.
The desired output is known. Think of it like giving the model a textbook and a teacher to guide it. Examples of supervised learning algorithms include linear regression, logistic regression, and decision trees.
So it's all about learning from examples.
Exactly. Now, unsupervised learning involves training a model on unlabeled data, where the desired output is unknown. It's more like giving the model a bunch of puzzle pieces and letting it figure out the picture on its own.
Ooh, that sounds challenging.
It can be, but it's also incredibly powerful.
Right.
Examples of unsupervised learning algorithms include k-means clustering, principal component analysis, PCA, and association rule mining. Be prepared to explain the key differences between these two types of learning, and most importantly, provide examples of how they're used in real-world data analysis scenarios.
Okay, next up is a question about a tool that's essential for any data analyst. What is SQL, and why is it important for data analysts?
Yes. SQL, or structured query language, is the language of data. It's used to communicate with databases and extract valuable insights. It's like having a magic wand that can summon exactly the information you need from a vast sea of data.
I love that. So it's essential for anyone who wants to work with data.
Right. Absolutely. It allows you to extract, filter, and aggregate data from databases, which is often the first step in any data analysis project.
Right.
Be prepared to explain the basic syntax of SQL common commands like select from where and group by. And of course, how you've used SQL in your previous work experience.
And don't be surprised if they ask you to write a simple SQL query on the whiteboard. It's their way of testing your data wizardry skills.
I like that. Now let's move on to some questions that focus on your understanding of statistical concepts.
Ooh, this is where we separate the data analyst from the data enthusiast.
That's a good one. One question you might encounter is, what is the difference between correlation and causation? Can you provide an example? This question tests your ability to differentiate between two fundamental concepts that are often confused.
It's like figuring out if the rooster crowing causes the sun to rise or if it's just a coincidence.
Exactly. Correlation simply means that two variables tend to move together. While causation implies that one variable directly influences the other. Just because ice cream sales and crime rates both go up in the summer, it doesn't mean that one is causing the other. Both variables might be influenced by a third variable, like warm weather.
That makes sense. They're like those correlation doesn't equal causation memes you see online.
Exactly. Be prepared to provide your own example of correlation versus causation and explain the importance of understanding this distinction in data analysis. It's all about being a critical thinker and not jumping to conclusions based on superficial patterns.
Another statistical concept that often trips people up. Explain the concept of statistical significance. How is it determined?
Don't worry, it's not as complex as it sounds. Statistical significance refers to the likelihood that an observed result is not due to chance.
So it's like flipping a coin 10 times and getting heads 10 times in a row. It's statistically significant because it's highly unlikely to happen just by chance.
Exactly. We use statistical tests to determine whether an observed effect is likely due to the factor we're interested in or just random variation. It's typically determined by calculating a p-value, which represents the probability of obtaining the observed result. If the null hypothesis, the idea that there's no real effect, is true, if the p-value is below a certain threshold, typically 0.05, 5. The result is considered statistically significant.
So it's like setting a bar for how much evidence we need to be convinced that something is real and not just a fluke.
Precisely, be prepared to explain the concept of a p-value, the significance level, and the implications of statistical significance in data analysis.
Now let's switch gears and talk about data visualization. One question you might encounter is, what are some best practices for creating effective data visualizations?
Okay.
Can you provide examples?
This question assesses your understanding of how to present data clearly, concisely, and in a way that engages the audience. It's about turning those numbers into a visual feast that conveys insights effortlessly.
It's like being a data artist using charts and graphs to paint a picture of the data.
Exactly. Some best practices include choosing the right chart type for your data, using clear and concise labels, avoiding clutter, and highlighting key insights.
Okay.
You might want to mention specific chart types like bar charts, line charts, scatter plots, and heat maps. Explain when each type is most appropriate.
And don't forget to mention the importance of color choice, font size, and overall layout. It's all about creating a visually appealing and easy-to-understand presentation.
Right. Provide examples of effective visualizations you've created in the past and explain how they helped communicate insights to stakeholders, and be prepared to discuss the challenges you faced and the creative solutions you came up with.
All right, one last question on data visualization. What are some common pitfalls to avoid when creating dashboards?
Okay.
How can you ensure that dashboards are user-friendly and informative?
This question tests your ability to create dashboards that are both visually appealing and functional. It's like designing the cockpit of a spaceship. You want all the important information readily available, but you don't want to overwhelm the pilot with too many buttons and dials.
That's a great analogy. It's all about finding that sweet spot between information overload and leaving the user in the dark.
Exactly. Common pitfalls to avoid include using too many charts, overwhelming the user with information, and failing to provide context or insights.
Okay.
To ensure dashboards are user-friendly and informative, you should focus on the key metrics, use clear and concise language, and provide interactive features that allow users to explore the data on their own.
It's like giving them a map and a compass so they can navigate the data landscape.
Precisely explain how you approach dashboard design and provide examples of dashboards you've created that effectively communicate insights to stakeholders.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this part, but before we move on, let's take a moment to talk about RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools.
Yeah.
They can be a game changer for data analyst interview prep.
Absolutely. These tools can help you fine-tune your answers and gain that competitive edge.
The AI feedback feature is like having a personal interview coach. It analyzes your answers, provides personalized suggestions, and helps you craft compelling responses that resonate with interviewers.
And the video practice option allows you to simulate real interview scenarios, record your responses, and receive AI-driven feedback on your delivery, body language, and overall performance.
It's like having a virtual mirror that shows you how you come across to others.
Exactly. And one of the most impressive aspects of RoleCatcher's AI is its ability to tailor your responses to specific job roles.
So you're not just practicing generic answers. You're crafting targeted responses that align perfectly with the requirements of the job you're interviewing for.
That level of personalization can significantly increase your chances of making a lasting impression and securing that dream data analyst role.
Wow, that's incredible. RoleCatcher really seems to have thought of everything.
They really have. It's an invaluable resource for anyone preparing for a data analyst interview.
Now, ready for the final part of our deep dive.
Let's do it. I'm excited to share even more insights and tips to help you nail that interview.
All right, we're back for the final part of our data analyst interview. Prep. Deep dive. We've covered a ton of ground, from technical skills to behavioral questions, from machine learning to data visualization.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
But we've got a few more essential tips to share before you head into that interview.
Perfect, because I'm all about those last-minute insights that can make all the difference. What do you have for us?
Well, let's start by talking about those curveball questions that interviewers love to throw in to see how you think on your feet.
Ooh, I love a good challenge. What kind of questions are we talking about?
One you might encounter is, describe a time when you had to deal with a complex data set. What challenges did you face and how did you overcome them?
This is where they want to see you flex those problem-solving muscles and showcase your ability to handle messy real-world data.
Exactly. Think back to a project where you had to clean, transform, or analyze a particularly challenging data set. What steps did you take to ensure data accuracy and integrity? Did you have to deal with missing values, inconsistent formatting, or data from multiple sources?
It's like they're asking you to tell a data detective story complete with twists, turns, and a triumphant resolution.
Ha! I love that analogy. Walk them through the challenges you encountered, the tools and techniques you used, and of course, how you ultimately arrived at a solution.
And don't forget to highlight those key problem-solving skills, like your ability to think critically, break down complex problems into manageable steps, and persevere even when the data gremlins are working against you.
Those are essential qualities for any data analyst. Now, here's another question that might come up. Can you describe a time when you had to make a recommendation based on your data analysis? What were the key factors you considered?
This is a classic. It's about showcasing your ability to translate those data insights into actionable recommendations that drive business decisions.
Precisely. Choose an example where your analysis led to a tangible outcome. Maybe it was a change in strategy, a new product launch, or an improvement in operational efficiency. Walk the interviewer through your thought process, highlight the key metrics you analyzed, the assumptions you made, and the potential risks and benefits you weighed.
And don't forget to explain how you communicated your recommendation to stakeholders, and most importantly, how you persuaded them to take action. It's one thing to have the insights, but it's another thing entirely to get people to act on them.
Absolutely. That's where those communication and persuasion skills come into play. Now, before we wrap up, I want to circle back to RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools one last time.
Yes, let's talk about how those tools can help you ace those data analyst interviews.
The AI feedback feature is like having a personal interview coach in your pocket. It analyzes your answers, provides personalized suggestions, and helps you craft compelling responses that resonate with interviewers.
And the video practice option.
Allows you to simulate real interview scenarios, record your responses, and receive AI-driven feedback on your delivery body language and overall performance. It's like having a virtual mirror that shows you exactly how you come across to others.
That's incredible. So you can practice those tricky questions, get feedback, and fine-tune your responses until you're feeling confident and ready to nail that interview.
Exactly. And one of the most impressive things about RoleCatcher's AI is its ability to tailor your responses to specific job roles. You're not just practicing generic answers, you're crafting targeted responses that align perfectly with the requirements of the job you're interviewing for.
That level of personalization is a game changer. It can significantly increase your chances of making a lasting impression and landing that dream job.
Absolutely. So as you prepare for your data analyst interviews, remember to leverage all the resources available to you.
Right. Use those RoleCatcher guides, practice with their AI-powered tools, and most importantly, believe in yourself and your abilities.
You've got this. We're rooting for you. Good luck out there.